Welcome to another episode of Two Ales and Hockey Tales with Wally. And today, I am so excited to have on a 46-year-old from Calgary, Alberta, a sixth-round draft pick of the St. Louis Blues. As a player, a three-time British Super League champion, an EIHL League champion, an EIHL second-team All-Star, like yours truly. Jersey was retired by the Belfast Giants, but we're not sure if he retired his own jersey. As a GM, he was a three-time Challenge Cup champion, an EIHL KO Cup, not sure what that is, a five-time EIHL League title winner, which is the big one there, folks, and a three-time playoff champ. And this episode is brought to you by Naya Security. Welcome to the podcast, Todd Killer Kelman.
What an intro! My goodness, wow! Thank you, Wally. I'm kind of I don't know if I'm pissed off or I'm embarrassed that like I must be like the 50th person you've had on the podcast.
You had your opportunity.
I never did. I called you weeks ago and I said, "Get me on the show," and you're like, okay, I've got the next 7 weeks lined up with 3 a week.
Do you want? Are we being honest right now? Or are we the honest circles? Yeah. I don't want to hurt Pigs' feelings. You were the first one. As soon as I came up with the idea, you were the first one I texted, and I said, "I want you to be the first." And then you ghosted me, and then I was like, you know what? He doesn't deserve to be first if he's going to ghost me.
Sorry, it wasn't a purpose ghost. It was accidental.
But I find the timing of everybody coming on, it just all works out perfectly, and it kind of all goes the way I want it to go. Like I throw out some feelers to people, and they don't bite at the time, and it makes sense then that I get who I get, and you know, it all falls into place. And I'm very happy Pigs was the first, and it's time for you to come on because I guess I just saw that like on the internet there when the research team had to hit elite prospects quick. I saw that the pod was just ranked. It was the top 20 interesting podcasts in the UK for 2021. Wow. And
congratulations. That's huge.
Yeah, it was like best startup or something was like the website. I'm not sure what it was, but it was cool to see. Wow. From my shed in Kincardine.
Yeah.
So anyways, I kind of what I do is I get into how we know each other, and realistically, you're kind of the reason I started this, because you had a Wally Night, and you know, like you got me back like 5 years out of the game.
Yeah, but Wally, talk about how you got to Cardiff in the first place. The fact that you remember the story?
Yeah.
So can I tell my version of it?
Oh yeah, go for it.
Okay, so there's a website. It's called like Sports Contract or Sports Contact, something like that. And basically, I know it's a bigger business now, but this is what 7 years ago or 6 years ago, 7 years ago. I never looked at it, and I was really bad because people would message me saying, "Hey, I put my name into your sports contract as available." And I never heard from you. And I'm like, I didn't even know what that is. And then finally, someone from Sports Contract or Contact, is it Contact or Contract?
Not a clue.
Okay, so they messaged me and they said, "Hey, Mr. Kelman, you've had this free account for 3 years running Belfast, and do you want to continue it in Cardiff?" I must have said yes, and I never looked at it. And then I logged in one day, randomly logged in one day, and there must have been honestly 500 messages in there from players over the last like decade, right, that I've never read, and your name was at the top of the list. And if that was the summer where basically me and Lordo had like whatever 3 weeks or 6 weeks to put together a team, and I saw your name at the top of the list. I looked you up, and then I messaged you, and then basically we had one conversation, I think, and then you were signed, right? So Lordo's done like Franny helped out Lordo with names and stuff that year. Probably more that year than any other year. Besides that, I maybe got involved with 1 or 2 players a year, but I always claimed you as my player. I'd be like, "How's my player doing?" So So you were always my guy. So when you led the team in goals, I was pretty impressed with myself.
That was, I guess it was the summer that like Colby's little, like he's a toddler. Zoe is in the oven, and I finished second in the Danish league in scoring, and we win the championship, and it's like July and I got nothing. And my agent keeps saying, maybe here, maybe there. And I'm like, what are we doing here? And I had that thing, whatever it was called, from I guess when I was in university and I didn't have an agent or something. And I went on there and I went behind, like I guess behind my agent's back, whatever you want to call it. But I sent out a mass email to every coach that was in, or whoever I saw in the UK from the teams that Dan Seaman told me to message. And he told me to message the Belfast Giants. And that was you, sir.
I think it was still in Belfast, and my account still was the Belfast Giants, probably.
Absolutely. You know, I was messaging Belfast.
I've literally never looked at it since.
Neither have I.
I just thought I've done it. I got my one player out of here. I'm never looking again. It's not really an advertisement for Sports Contact or I should know the name by now, but hey, we hit the jackpot. Why ever go back? You know, I don't need to go back there ever again.
I never went back to that website either. Yeah, it was very bizarre how it worked out.
You were messaging Belfast. You were messaging me in Belfast.
Absolutely. It said you were the GM of Belfast. And then you wrote back saying, our coach will call you soon. It's Andrew Lord, but I'm with Cardiff Devils now. And I was like, hold on, where am I going? Because I just played against him like a year or two ago in second league in Germany. I'm like, that guy was way younger than me. So why is he the coach?
That's good stuff.
Yeah. So anyways, that is how we did first get in contact. And then we did have the 2014-15 Devils season, which was a time. Eh?
Oh, maybe my favorite year as a general manager. Probably is my favorite year as a general manager. Yeah. I loved it. That's like, I think the whole year just, I mean, you go ahead. You probably got something to start with, but that is one of my favorite years. That whole group of guys that me and Lordo talk about it. We still talk about it. We still, like, probably on a daily basis, we still talked about it when he was here. And now when I talk to him now, every once in a while, we still reference something from that year, you know? So.
Oh, I know. It's it was quite the year. And folks, if you can hear a bunch of kids screaming in the background, because that is what's real life. And they're on my trampoline and there's nothing I can do about it at the moment. But during that season, our son's this is other reasons why we know each other, because I've talked about that season so many times on this. It's the best time of my life. Rugby tots, Tato and Colby.
Yeah. Colby wouldn't say my kid's name, so called him Tato. Still probably does.
It's because we had a book called Super Tato, which was a super potato.
Yeah, just for the knowledge of people out there, I named my child Mateo, not Tato, but Colby couldn't say Mateo, so we called him Tato. And yeah, they played rugby together. They played rugby tots. We loved it. That was like our time together. Yeah. And they did a lot together, actually. It was sad. Like I had a real problem when Colby, not so much when you left for my family, but more for when Colby left. We had a real meltdown.
Yeah, thanks. That doesn't hurt at all. Thanks. That doesn't hurt at all. And that was the other thing was I do remember the first time we discussed a return for the 2015-16 season where, geez, you really got fleeced on that one. But was at a play place. That was at like the Cheeky Monkey where the kids are jumping up and down. Everybody's got boogers everywhere. And we're like running around with our toddlers and that was like, you were like, so what do you think of coming back? And I was like, I don't know. Right?
Yeah, I remember that. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And you're like, I think you said to me, well, I didn't come here with you to talk about this, but if we're here. So at the play place there, the Cheeky Monkey, we were discussing our return, which that next season got real weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess that is part of another reason why we know each other. There's a lot here. Was you, I just wrote down my notes say knee and letting Waltons stay.
Yeah, that sums it up, right? So when did you get injured?
Oh, it was like the first time I kind of heard it was like literally
Remember how good you were? Like, remember you came back, you're in like the
the
best shape.
gag ball.
God, you were flying though those first few games. My goodness.
No, it was the one game. It was the first preseason game. I was going so fast, I didn't know what I was doing. And I like was going to split the D, and the guy got me by the knee with his knee. And from that day on, it just wasn't the same. But my gosh, that first game, I was buzzing around.
Flying. Absolutely flying. All of preseason though, camp and everything, you were flying.
Yeah, I think the kids call it yoked. That's what they're calling it, Todd. But I'm about to crack a cabinet maker here from my sponsor, the Bayfield Brewery. But today's sponsor, the headline sponsor, is Naya Security, Todd. I'm sure you've heard of the company because they've been Devils fans for 15 years.
I know them well.
Oh man, they just yearn. They love the Devils. They miss it so much, and that you know what they provide, because I do. They provide manned guarding, door supervisors, key holding and alarm response, CCTV supply and install, stewarding, event security. That's where you come into play, Todd. But they're Ricky and Martin Maloney, family company, great people. And you know what they're providing folks today for the fans is 15% off any domestic CCTV supply and install, and 10% off first month for manned guarding services for commercial clients. Todd, I know you're kind of like Justin Bieber in Cardiff, and you could use some security sometimes. But I do know they yearn to be back with the Devils and providing event security, just like I yearn to be back around the Devils too, you know?
All right, I'll keep that in mind. They're good. Do you know that Martin and Ricky, their previous company, I can't remember what it was called actually, but Martin was one of the first sponsors I met when I came to Cardiff. Like the first 3 days I was here, I went to his office and chatted with him and Ricky, and yeah, so I've been friendly with them ever since. They're good people for sure.
Yeah, well, just keep it in mind that they do provide a great security service, and like they were the ones, as we've discussed before, that kept me from like killing Noble and Joey Martin from throwing more than one water bottle. Like they got him in and out of the way really quick in the big blue tent, eh?
I'll keep that in mind. Yeah, they did actually. I remember that.
Yeah, no, they because Joey Martin was not going to throw just one water bottle that day, folks. It was going to be more than one, and they protected him. We're not going to hold that against them. They're good people, as Todd said. So moving on, you did let us stay. I don't know where we went with that, but I got hurt by the time we realized I literally couldn't come back was November. Like it was early, man. It was like,
oh, I know you were really worried that we were going to send you home, right?
Well, like most teams would. Like I've no value to you anymore. Like I could not score a goal or get an assist again.
But you know what? You know why we did it? You're not the first players, and you're certainly not going to be the last player that we did it for. We did it. It's going to sound cheesy. We did it because it's the right thing to do. Because right now, if we hadn't done it, you wouldn't be talking good things about Cardiff. You'd be pissed off. You'd be on someone else's podcast complaining about how the Cardiff Devils screwed you over. And there's been players throughout my career as a general manager that have had similar situations. And one example is a guy named Rich Seeley, who's the GM of the Ontario Reign in the American Hockey League. He got hurt October, blew his knee out when I was in Belfast, and we kept him around the whole year. He finished his school, everything like that. And if there's ever a guy I need to send, if any players ever worry about how we take care of them, Rich Seeley was a guy that I'd always send them to, and he's done so much to give us players over the years, and look where he's gotten in hockey, and you can't have too many guys talking good things about your organization, and same with you. Like you're not gonna ever bitch about the Cardiff Devils, because
I'm pretty much a brand ambassador. Like that's what I've been since I left, because of the way I was treated, and it's well documented now. like now that I have a podcast and basically we just pump your tires the whole time, but like you deserve it. And what you did for me changed my life. So thank you.
Even though your lovely wife, one of my favorite wives in the history of hockey, even though the day you guys moved into your apartment the second year, you complained about the smell of it, so we had to move you out.
Well, she was a strange neighborhood there.
It's not my fault. I didn't pick the apartment.
It wasn't your fault. It wasn't the people who picked that apartment. It wasn't Lisa's fault. We asked for 3 bedrooms and that's what came up. And it, we went with a 2-bedroom.
Yes, you did. A really nice 2-bedroom though.
Yeah, but I literally have never called a GM or coach to complain about anything in my life. So that was weird. That was the first time I've ever done it. It was really weird.
And I remember that too, because like I think you and Lisa were both worried that I was gonna flip out or something. I just thought I was like, yeah, it's fine. We'll move you out. It's okay.
Right. But then, yeah, I just had never complained about anything in my, about really much. So it was weird, but you know, it all worked out. We got the nice place overlooking the bay. You could see everything. Like it was a beautiful spot. And like the apartments you guys provided in Cardiff were the best ones I lived in Europe. And it was not even close. The lifestyle in Cardiff, everything, man. It's the best. But you know that you're living there now, right? Which gets us into, not yet, random question.
Yeah.
Random question before we get into where and what you're doing now is, where did the nickname Killer come from? I've heard the story before, but I'm just curious. You're the owner there. Episode about, I think 24, Steve King. What a dandy. I think he mentioned that maybe I should ask.
It's I don't know if I want to tell it. I don't know if I should tell it.
Well, they said I'm one of the top interesting stories in the UK. Like, if you can't tell the interesting stories, then
so so when I was playing junior, yeah, I honestly I don't can I skip? Can you cut this out? I honestly don't want to tell it.
No, that's fine. You don't have to tell us.
Can you pause this and not put this out?
Oh, don't worry about it. We don't have to talk about it if you don't want to.
No, it's a good story, but like it's
You're not allowed to talk about it.
No, will you promise to cut this out? I'll tell you the best part about the story.
Well, no, I can't cut things out. Like, I don't edit this shit, man. It's just me in my shed talking to my friends.
Well, I thought, okay, then I can't tell you why I don't want to tell it then. I just don't want to tell.
Okay, then don't. I'm pretty sure I've heard the story anyways, but whatever. It's okay. I didn't think it was that bad, but
no, it's not bad. It's not bad at all. It's not bad at all. I've told it a million times. I just don't want to tell it right now. I'll explain later why.
Well, now you're just going to make the listeners even more intrigued. So, well, good luck getting bugged about it for the next year in Cardiff when the hockey season's actually back, baby. Which gets us into where and what are you doing now? Because you guys are almost going to get to actually play frickin' hockey.
Yeah. So we're just gearing up. We're signing players. We're building a new team with a new coach. It's exciting. It's like the good old days. It's like that first summer when we first took over the Devils. It feels like that summer again. Yeah, like we're gonna have a lot of new faces because we had a lot of guys leave. We had a few guys retire, but it's fun. Yeah, like me and Franny were just on a Zoom call with Scaldi there before I talked to you. So we're talking all the time, and you kind of forget because we've had so many guys every year coming back. You kind of forget dealing with a whole bunch of guys. Like, you know, like we're probably going to end up with 10 or 12 new guys, maybe more. You know, it honestly, it reminds me of that first year because I always have this thing where I never feel completely secure with the team until they arrive. It's like a nervous thing. Like, whereas when you have returning guys, you feel comfortable. You like, okay, well, you know, I signed him back, so I know he'll be here. But I've just over the years, I've always had a few guys like, you know, like
just the whole thing going to Europe, right? Like just going overseas, or just they all of a sudden get some job at home and they can't come, and it's the last second, and you're like, well, hold on, like you said you were coming, right?
Yeah, and like you think of like we had a guy named Tom Parisi a few years ago. We were pumped about him coming. He showed up. I was away for the weekend. He showed up. dropped the puck at a game, took one practice and left, and we never saw him ever again. And that was like 3 years ago or 4 years ago. I never even met him. I was away. I can't remember where I was, but and you know, I just always get nervous until they come, like, because hockey players are hockey players, you know, and especially coming to Europe, you know, there's nothing until they land here. I'm always nervous. Always nervous.
It makes sense.
I shouldn't say that because it's probably happened twice or 3 times in my 14 years, but it's like that sick feeling, you know, like I will relax as soon as all 20 guys arrive, you know?
Well, the other thing is everybody does have their personal lives, right? And then you get their wives and girlfriends or whoever involved back in Canada or wherever they are, and that shit's out of your control. But that's just the life of what we live, right? Like, it's a weird life that hockey players live, really.
It's a lot of fun though.
It sure is. Yes, especially in the UK. That was literally by far the most fun I've ever had, were those 2 years. And one of the years was like the darkest time of my life too. So strange times. It was like the best time, but the worst.
Yep. No, yeah, it was tough because I remember that year. It was tough for a guy that we loved so much to see what you were going through, and it was weird. It was such a strange year moving into the new rink, and we were all excited. And do you remember like some of the stuff I had you do? Do you remember you sold tickets with us?
I messed a couple things up the first day. I remember, like, I didn't know about these flex tickets or whatever they were, man. They caught me right off guard, or the intermediates, or then all of a sudden you had the handicap seats at the end of the aisle and everybody's calling me, and I was like, Todd, I think I just sold all these for the same price.
Yeah. And then there was like, well, in fairness, we moved to the new rink. The rink tells us, the people running the rink tell us we got this great ticketing system. We find out the great ticketing system is actually, we don't have a ticketing system. So we buy 2 pay-as-you-go mobile phones.
Put me at the charge.
Yeah, we sit close to the window and we take 3,000 calls for 3,000 tickets. And if you remember the one week, I'll never forget it. Me, you, and Agland, we're all selling tickets. And if anyone can remember that first game, we oversold by accident like 300 tickets. And what had happened is we all had this, we all had a spreadsheet, and we were all selling the same block at the same time. And do you remember this? And we all sold the same block. We're all like, oh yeah, so I just sold, I think it was like block 20 or something. And Aglin's like, what are you talking about? I just sold block 20. Well, I just sold block 20. So we knew that a shitstorm was coming that first weekend. And I think we honestly had maybe 300 or 400 too many ticket sales the first weekend. We weren't doing it to like make more money. We were doing it because we're fucking stupid.
Yeah, no, but like, and the thing is what's awesome about it. It's like that's what I kind of love, and that's how my life is. And like, with the way I do this podcast, where I just kind of send out a text and see what happens, and then like, I don't really know what's going to be planned, and then all of a sudden I got way too many people lined up, and then I'm like, Jesus Murphy, what am I doing? But like, we were like, Cardiff was kind of flying by the seat of our pants, and like, that was like, until I became a master of business and project management, where you actually plan shit out and learn from your mistakes. Like, I love just living off by the seat of my pants. And that's what Cardiff was those first 2 years. Like, when I played there the first year, I loved it because everybody was just getting to know each other. Nobody knew each other. Lord was learning how to be a player coach. Franny's being the bench. It was just, everybody was learning. And then the next year, yeah, it just was, you know.
So much funny stuff. Like, I always say to Lordo, like, if hopefully he makes the NHL, and he hopefully writes a book about making the NHL as a coach. And I said, I just need a chapter. I need a chapter in there to describe that first year in Cardiff. Like, I just think of arriving, like, even little things, like arriving with my wife, checking out the Big Blue Tent compared to the arena in Belfast. Think of the Odyssey arena in Belfast, how nice it is. Coming to the Big Blue Tent, moving my office into a porta cabin out back. Deese is the equipment manager. That should be a whole series of podcasts right there. Just like, you know, remember things like we'd have the ice baths. They were garbage bins, the ice baths. Yeah. Deese would literally let them overflow every single game. And there's like wires going from my porta cabin into the skate sharpening machine. open wires, water flowing over these open wires. And I'm like, we're not just spilling water. We're going to kill the team. Like, we're going to electrocute the whole fucking team. And we just, and I was like, how do you the ice baths overflow? Like 22 games in a row, they overflew. You can't, it's mind boggling, but.
Oh, yeah, you just got to have him sharpen skates, chirp the boys. You can't be having him fill up cold tubs. That's not in his job description, hey?
No, definitely not.
No, I love
the guy. So.
I think that's when everybody was just really getting to know cold tubs and everything in the UK. I don't think that was a real thing until Lordo had us getting in garbage cans.
Yeah, you could barely climb in there, poor guy. Hey?
You think I wanted to? I was forced. Lordo was like forceful with me. He wouldn't even let me have the bagels. Everybody else is like, isn't it awesome we get bagels now in the room for breakfast? And I do his whole gag ball workout for the summer. And then I think I get to start living again. Like I'm back to like I get to live again. And I go to put a bagel in the toaster the first practice of the second year. And he looked at me like he was so disappointed that I was going to have a freaking bagel.
Oh, man. So funny. So funny.
Okay. We got to move on.
Move on.
The only other thing I had really written down was finding out about Wally Night, because that was a day I'll never forget. But that can come up when I have on Parker someday. I think you guys were in Graz or something, but it was a cool phone call to get right when I arrived home from work. But the other thing was that, like, for yourself and I to really bond as general manager and player was we did like we hit the playgrounds and some play places, but we also hit Pembo's Christmas party.
We did. one of our legendary nights. Poor Pembo, Dave Pemberton, our team doctor. He used to have like a catered party for like the whole team at Christmas, right?
Same one that did my knee surgery.
Yep. And he had this big catered party and spent a lot of money, brought in chefs and everything. And I totally get it. I love the guy. He's a very nice guy. His family's great. And they were great to us. The thing is, like, people that know me, I think Lordo gets all the credit for being very anal about like players drinking and eating shit and stuff like that. But like, I'm kind of like that with them too. And I remember the first year we found out that like, you know, every year at like the 26th or something like that, or the 23rd even, there's a huge party at Pembo's with the whole team. And you remember that? I was like, no. Our team is not going and getting bombed and eating like stuffing themselves and boozing it up, all of them on like the 23rd when we have a game on the 26th.
It was, I think it was almost like the night before a game. Like it was like they did it the night before a game, and it was like a tradition that the whole team got together and got pissed the night before a game.
And I don't think any of the fans knew about this, but I remember saying to Franny, like, Franny, this cannot happen. He's like, it has to happen. It happens every year. And I'm like, it's not happening this year. And man, were people pissed off at me. Not the players, but like Franny was pretty upset, I think. Pembo definitely was. And so me and you went. I think, did Marshy come with us too? Was Marshy hurt or something like that?
No, it was just the two of us, I'm pretty sure. Like, I don't think Marshy was there for that one.
I think the year before, maybe Marshy went with me and Franny, I think, because he was maybe hurt. But yeah, that year it was me and you, and there was food for about, I don't know, 30, 50 maybe. We had a blast. So remember, Pembo was bringing out the expensive wine.
I never drank wine that expensive. You don't drink that kind of wine in Kincardine. I had never seen it before, but it was some pretty cool stuff there that we were just crushing it like I was in Kincardine.
Yeah, it was fun, and they were great hosts and good people and all that. But yeah, I feel bad because I'm so over the years, the amount of wives that have complained about practicing at Christmas and stuff like that, but like, I don't care. I could care less. Like I have to deal with one wife who can be mad at me. That's my wife. I don't really care if someone else's wife is mad at me. So, but yes, there's been wives over the years that have complained about practicing at Christmas time. But like, this is the thing with Cardiff. Like when I was in Belfast, I would try to play Cardiff at Christmas every year because we didn't know why. We just knew they always sucked sometime around Christmas.
Well, that's a pretty good pickup. Like Yeah, that is, we do know why, but like that's a pretty good pickup that you guys did pick up on that, because I remember you saying to me, I used to always pick games to play against them right around Christmas because they're just terrible. But then when you were talking about like the wives complaining about like practicing at Christmas, is like it's very interesting because you would know more than anybody, which this is the more interesting part of the podcast in my notes is like my wife went from, I guess, like college, um, to then us living apart for a year while I'm in the coast and she's doing school and whatever. And then we decide we're going to Germany together. And then we get there and it is what it is. And we're like 22, 23 years old. And we're like, well, let's roll with the punches and like everything's fine. But like when you look back on it, we went into the apartment that the one couple said wasn't good enough. And we were like, okay, it's fine. And we just kind of always lived that way. And we just, but then we went to Bietigheim, got better apartments, and everything was great. But like, you just kind of learned that that was the life over there, and you don't complain and you get what you get. And then you for your job and what you do, you're going to get people from the NHL and their wives that were in the NHL, which would be a different life. Even the AHL, I don't know how anybody gets married that plays in the AHL or really the East Coast. I don't understand that part of life. But like you would have all different breeds, eh?
Yeah, definitely. And like the thing is, yeah, like I mean, I don't know what to say because it's just one of those things. And the thing is, like you can tell guys at the beginning of the season, I just don't know if they believe us. So I'd be like, you're probably going to practice, like depending on when Christmas falls, you're probably practicing on Christmas Day, and because and you know what we always say, we are treating it like a normal week. So if you would normally play on a Saturday, we wouldn't give you Thursday, Friday off, right? So if Christmas Day is Friday and we play on this Saturday, you're practicing on Christmas Day. Like I can't remember the last time someone's had Christmas Day off, but oh yeah, that's over the years. That's the only thing that's ever been a real issue, and it's only been one or two people. And the thing is, like, I mean, when you think about it, if you're here, Christmas is probably you're probably going to be at the rink for about an hour and a half, maybe total. Like, suck it up.
Yeah, no, they don't get it. They don't get it, Todd.
You know what?
They have no idea what it's really like, hockey players.
Yeah, that should be the podcast. What the real world is like compared.
There's a lot of things it could be about. The other thing could be about how hard it is getting out of hockey, because
Yeah.
that's what most guys I have on after hours, after we talk about it, they say, this is what you should talk about more. And I was like, I do understand it. I know how hard it is. I have been through it. And it's like always a thing, right? But like until I found this, and you were a big reason in that, like so many people struggle, but like I'm a fun podcast. I'm not here to bring everybody down. That's not what I am.
It's a thing though. Like it is tough. Like I always say to people, like the hardest part about leaving hockey, that the way to look at it, I think, is like for the guys at this level, and I was the same way. I used to tell my friends, I used to say, you know what, I wish I was a little better or a little worse at hockey, because a little bit better I would have made a lot of money, and a little bit worse I would have never enjoyed like playing pro hockey, not making enough money to be rich.
No, that's 100% where like basically my podcast lands. That's
Yeah,
exactly who I'm having on. The
yeah,
people who love hockey, they were almost good enough, but they weren't bad enough to stop after say junior B or
yeah.
like even college. Like
Yeah.
even college, I remember like a conversation with the kid that was like, well, you're going off to play pro and you're going to go do this and do that. And he's like, I'm done. And I'm like, well, like, then it never even crosses your mind to be done when the doors keep opening, but then you never do get your payday.
Oh, no, I just think I just remember there's so many funny stories about it. But yeah, and that's what I used to tell my friends. I wish I was a little bit better, a little bit worse. Nothing, and
Makes
um,
sense.
but you know what? I wouldn't trade it. I absolutely like. I think I'm spoiled because I never had to leave hockey. Right? Like I've got the perfect job for someone out of after playing for sure. And yeah, I'm very lucky. I'm very lucky with what I get to do. So
Well, yeah, but you were born to do what you're doing. But just so the folks know, I did just finish that cabinet maker, which I never talked about earlier, because that is, I'm going to talk about it like I'm part of the family, because I basically am, because we were just there for our anniversary. The Bayfield Brewing Company, which we sat out front on the patio. Beautiful people watching, folks. You get to see people walk by. You get to check out all the different breeds out there. And then in the back, it's more like a lounge area where it's all just casual. You can't really see all the hustle and bustle. It's a great spot. The food was incredible, and the beer too. Like the cabinet maker here, which is our first and flagship beer. The Canadian Pale Ale is a balanced, flavorful ale made with Ontario-grown ingredients. On this first sip, the hop aromas hit you, and by the third, the ale has really balanced out. The name The Cabinet Maker is an ode to one of Canada's most influential 19th century craftsmen who lived, married, raised a family, and operated his shop in Bayfield. Brewmaster Ryan Keys is also a master craftsman and has made furniture showcased in their brewery. So there you go, Todd. Just
well, whenever I'm near King Garden, Ontario, I like to stop by the Bayfield Brewing Company as well.
You really should, because
we were sit out that outdoor area that you talk about. But yeah, when I'm in town, I'm definitely going there.
So which side are you going to? The people watching side or the lounge side?
I like the people watching side personally.
Me too. That's which side we picked.
I like to put the phone away and just people watch. Like I miss it. I miss that in life. I think people, if they put their phone away and people watch a little bit more, they'd be a little less stressed. It's a nice little relaxing day.
You're 100% right. Like putting the phone away and just feeling it. And
except if you're listening to Two Ales and Hockey Tales, like put the AirPods in, put the phone in your pocket. You can
just go for a walk.
Go for a walk. Sit with the wife. Sit with the lady. Just have the pods in. Nod your head a lot. Pretend you're listening.
Do you know what? We're gonna have to skip a lot of my notes. My gosh, I heard that the family was missing old TK there, Killer, which we're not sure why he's named Killer, but he's named Killer. So we're going to minor hockey to Bowling Green. I just want the rundown here. Minor hockey to Bowling Green State University.
So you want me to take you from where I grew up to Bowling Green as quickly as possible?
Well, keep her to the facts, I guess. Whatever you want to do. It's you're the one that needed to go home. I have a babysitter, and it's up to you, really.
I'm good. I'll stay for a while. I got food coming eventually. I'll probably have to eat on the podcast. I've been here all night. So look at. You know what we're doing? Me and Franny had to write a letter.
I've seen your office before. I bet you there's 5 takeout.
There's
things.
not.
There's no way it's clean.
It's just look at my wall. I got look what I got actually. Look at the picture behind me, Wally.
Yeah, that's because we can't see the floor.
That's from the first Challenge Cup win. There you are, right there.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
That's when we won the Challenge Cup in Sheffield.
I think we went to that hotel after, and
oh Jesus, don't get to that after I do my minor. Well, you know what? That's the story we should talk about. But the quick rundown: I grew up in Calgary, in Bonavista, right where Steve King still lives now. Steve King and Craig Shostak both still live in Bonavista. The community ice rink there, that was my first job. I worked as a rink rat, drove the Zamboni, painted the lines on the ice, cleaned the boards when I was like 13. So worked in rinks my whole life. I played hockey there. I lived right by the outdoor rink. I used to take the Zamboni home from school to flood the outdoor rink. They'd pick me up on the way home, and then I'd get dropped off. So I had that typical Canadian lifestyle: outdoor rink, playing on the lake my whole life. I played in Bonavista, then I played midget AAA, then I played Vernon Vipers in junior A out in British Columbia. Then I went to Bowling Green on a scholarship for 4 years. Then I turned pro. There you go.
Hey, wow, that was fast. Holy moly. You are quick at getting things done. I remember signing the contract when I bought this house. The day I signed the contract with the Cardiff Devils to come there was the day I bought this house. Just so you know. Fun fact.
With your signing bonus?
No, houses were cheaper in Concord and then Elmira, and I had a little dump there. could get a nicer house here. So yeah, no signing bonus. We went straight AHL, 50 grand, 50K, big deal. Moving on though, I had a lot to talk about there and you got me sidetracked. Shoot. Oh, running an arena. A guy I just had on is running an arena right now. Like Michel Levelet, I played with him in Helbron, for the first French guy in the pod. He's doing it, trying to do it by himself, but it made me think of that first year in the Big Blue Tent where I realized, I guess you say Lordo's anal, but I remember you saying like the ketchup wasn't red enough. And then when I'll never forget the day I showed up in Cardiff when I had been other places. I had been places and you show up and you have a little kid and you had a jersey laid out on the crib. You had the crib set up. I wasn't showing up trying to go find it at IKEA and build it. Well, we just got off the plane. Like everything was ready. There was food in the fridge. And then I remember some of your employees saying, this guy's nuts. Like everything's got to be red. Like some things he says aren't red enough.
Yeah. Do you want to know why I do that?
I know exactly why you do it. I've learned my whole life from you that since I met you, I learned a lot from you.
So here's my quick version of why I do that. Okay. Well, first I take care of, I always did it because I wanted the players to be, I went through what you went through. Everywhere I showed up, I'd get there, my car wouldn't be ready, my house wouldn't be ready. I'd be in a hotel for a couple days. I lived with an equipment manager one time for like 6 weeks because my house was so terrible when I was in Bracknell. I had cars break down. I showed up in Belfast where I'd been for years and like things weren't ready. You'd spend 3 weeks getting shit together. I hated it. So when I started doing it in Belfast, me and Steve Thornton started doing it in Belfast and we were like that too. And so when I came to Cardiff, like they said like, okay, well, you know, this is when we're trying to get guys. And I was like, okay, no, we need the apartments at least 48 hours before. We want to make sure that like everything's taken care of. I don't want to give away our trade secrets. What we make sure that the guys their houses are ready. But I do a huge checklist of what I want to go in the apartment. And then I put somewhere in the middle, I put fairy liquid, red, right? The red color fairy liquid for washing the dishes. And I learned this from Van Halen, the band. You know the band Van Halen?
Oh yeah.
So very famous story about David Lee Roth. He used to be the tour manager as well, right? When they would do their own tours, and David Lee Roth would always put on the rider like what they had to have at every venue. Right at the bottom, he'd put like a bowl of M&Ms, and it was like no brown M&Ms or something, right? So he'd go into the lock, and there was a story where he canceled a concert because when he got to his dressing room, there was M&Ms, but there was brown M&Ms in there, and everyone thought he canceled it because the brown M&Ms. And he did an interview and he said, "Well, do you think I canceled because do you think I'm that guy?" And what he said is, he said, "No, the first 100 things on the list were like test the weight of the truss so that when we're setting up the speakers, they can take this weight and." Test the line that I'm zipping along in front of the crowd. So all these things that like life or death things that he had to manage that he couldn't be there to set up. And if they screwed up on the M&Ms, what else did they screw up? And that was his worry, right? So with me, I go in, I went in the first year and one of the houses had green fairy liquid. And I was like, well, what else didn't they do? And of course you look in the fridge and actually in Cardiff, they were good. In Belfast, the first year they screwed up and they had the wrong color liquid. And I was just like, what else did they do? And they put the groceries in and they just leave them in the bags in the fridge. No, just take them out of the bags, like no one does. You don't do that in your own house. Why would you do that for having guests, And so we do that. We made sure the kids always had jerseys, all that kind of stuff. Deuce's Guillaume Doucette did a good job of that at the little mini series. He took care of his guys. I think most teams know how to take care of guys now, but
well, they learn from it. It's just like watching kids play hockey now and they're doing all this shit we never could do. It's because somebody's done it and everybody's learning from them. And thank goodness you're around to teach everybody the way it should be. That's what I would say. Because there's so many people that were doing it wrong in Europe, like for so many years. And when I got there, and you guys were doing it the way you were doing it, what a breath of fresh air for me.
But yeah, with lots of guys, lots of their wives always comment on it, like how well, like when they arrived, how well they felt they were taken care of, which is a big deal, right? First impressions are so important. So
Well, think about like when you show up and you got a little kid, and then all of a sudden you got a little 18 Walton jersey sitting on the crib. But yeah, let's not give out all the secrets to all the other teams. So we're not going to talk about it anymore. So we got to Bowling Green. You got drafted but never signed there, and you went straight to the UK.
yeah,
Why?
I got drafted. My year of junior, I got drafted, and then I broke my back, and I wasn't supposed to ever play hockey again. So, so I went to Bowling Green. I probably should have waited. I basically missed half a year, and had been in the hospital for like I was in a steel brace for like 6 months.
Is this on the ice injury?
Yeah, I got hit. I got like kind of blindsided in a rink in Chilliwack, BC, and the boards back then were cemented in, so the boards had a ledge of about a foot instead of like 3 inches, and my spine bounced down, and I broke my spine in 3 places, like the compression fracture. So I had to be in a steel brace from my neck down for, I don't know, 6 months maybe, and then and so I still got drafted.
Hold on, what age was this?
17. So like my
At
draft,
17, that happens and you got drafted?
my draft year, yeah. So like it happened, I think I was 18. I think I was 18 at that point. It happened in, yeah, I just turned 18, and then it happened like the next week or something. And so I missed from January. It happened in January or February. It was just after the All-Star game, and then I got hurt, and then I missed the rest of the season. And then Bowling Green was the only team that talked to me before the injury and after the injury. So I went to Bowling Green. I probably should have gone back and played another year at junior, but you don't know, right? Like I just thought you had to go to school. Like, especially I thought if I'm getting drafted, I got to go to school. I didn't realize guys went when they were like 21, 22. I didn't really know much about university. I just knew I wanted to go to university. So yeah, that's my story. It's not why I didn't make the NHL, but it's probably why I didn't, probably ever pursue anything. When I finished college, like I was drafted by St. Louis, they never even talked to me. So no big deal. That happens all the time. And I just thought I'll go play 1 year pro. Like I'll play in Europe for a year maybe, and maybe travel around after, go backpacking with my buddy, which I did. And then 1 year turned into 10 years of playing because I loved it. And then then running a team. And that's how I got here.
So my question is, did you break your back before or after they draft you? I don't know if you said that. You might have.
No, before. So it was my draft year. So like I was having a great year in junior. It was my only year.
So then you break your back and they never talk to you again?
And so like my draft, I got drafted in June. I broke my back in January or something like that. So 6 months later, I was still in the brace. No, I just come out of the brace when I got drafted. So I didn't go to the draft or anything. Yeah. so yeah, so that's what happened. And then I loved Bowling Green. It was awesome. Like, you know what college is like. It's amazing. It's
Hey, you're getting all handsy on me, eh? You're getting all handsy on me down there.
Am I? Oh, sorry. I was moving my keyboard there.
Sorry. Oh yeah, you're getting all handsy on me. Stop it, Todd. Feels bad.
Yeah, so I played against. Well, I didn't play against you, but I played against the same school as you in Western Michigan. Was in my conference back then, CCHA, which is a revival now. It's coming back after like a few years.
Is it really? Because that's what I played in. I played at Bowling Green, and yeah, like speaking of them taking people with like health problems, their goalie had MS when I played against him, and he was up for the Hobie. That's Sigalette.
Yeah, Jordan Sigalette.
Yeah. I remember that, but like,
I think he's like a coach for Calgary or something. Like I think he's a goaltending coach for Calgary or something now.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think he's still in the game. So I don't even know where we are, and I don't think my notes are making a lot of sense anymore for what we've been talking about. But the one thing I wanted to ask about, because episode about 15, Dan Seaman, the coach that I won a gold helmet with, and then I finished second league in scoring, and then he didn't re-sign me because he thought he could do better because there was a better looking girl down the road. You know how it goes. So that's what got me to Cardiff. So that's a lot of how. Did you talk to him before you and Lord, or nothing?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I'm buddies with Dan. I would think that I would have, but maybe Lordo did, but I certainly
No, I
didn't.
think it happened too fast because I think he said he wrote to me about a month or two later and says, "Hey, I haven't heard anything about you from any teams."
I got to open a door. I'm really
Oh,
sorry.
no worries. I can keep it going. But he said, I literally haven't heard anything from any teams on you, not once from your agent. Like, not one team has called from anywhere. And he said, I told you I would be a great reference. Like, I want to help you be a part. Like, I want to help you get another job because I think you're great, but we just don't have a spot for you here, right? So